Hey guys, today I was going to try something a little different. With the weather being cold and wet for the past 2 weeks, I haven't really been able to get a lot of riding in. So we're going to try this. A couple weeks ago, I went to a Bikes and Coffee, and upon arriving there, the first bike that caught my eye was a Husqvarna 401, a very, very beautiful bike. I talked to the guy who owned it and come to find out it was his first bike. And for what you get on the bike as a starter bike at a reasonable price, it's an awesome beginner's bike. However, with all the options that it has, the next bike I would get, I would want all those options plus more. For instance, the liquid cooled single with the 6 speed, adjustable front and rear suspension, the Bribery brakes, which Bribery is a Brembo brand, Speedo with tack and the gear indicator in it, and ABS and coming in at under 400 pounds, just to name a few things for this bike. However, the only thing I was not a big fan of on this bike were the spoked wheels, because with spoke wheels you have to run inner tubes, and then inner tubes you have to run biply tires, and I'm not a big fan of that. But the wheels do look good for the bike. So, I was awed by this bike. But in me searching for my next bike, I know that Husqvarna made a 701. So, from the 400, you would step up to the 701. It would have a little bit bigger engine in it, had a little bit more power, just give you a little more oomph for somebody who wants to get out of that 400 range, or me, the 125 range, and step up in bikes. So after the show, I got home. I hopped on the computer and started to get more information on the Husqvarna 701. Kind of find out Husqvarna's already taken it off their website. And this kind of stumped me for a bit, because I know that this year, when I was looking for a bike, I saw the 701 on their website. And I always thought that that was a bike that you can just step into. You start off with a smaller bike, and then you would step up to the 701. So this kind of led me down a little rabbit hole. So knowing that Husqvarna is owned by KTM, I hopped over to the KTM site and found out that the 690 Duke is no longer on their website. So I'm sure that most of you know this by now, but KTM canceled the Duke 690 Duke in 2018. And in 2018, the Husqvarna 701 was in production. And it used that same liquid-cooled 693cc engine. Now, Husqvarna has and I'm going to butcher these names, the 401, the Svartpilen and Vitpilen. Yeah, English sucks. And they still offer those bikes today, but they offer the 701 and the Enduro and Supermoto bikes, but not on their street bikes. However, KTM still offers the 390 Duke, and they offer the 890 Duke. So if you wanted to step up, and let's call this the KTM family, from a 390 or a 401, then you would just go to the 890 Duke. And what if you're like me and you just can't really get into the KTM style of bikes? So the only option is, if you had that, was to step away from the KTM family of bikes and go look for something else. So it made me kind of think why they discontinued the 701. But it looks like it's been the works for a while, with tightening European emission standards, and with it being a big single piston engine, there's only so much you can do with it. That big single piston makes more sense in the enduro and supermoto applications, but not necessarily a street application. It's not necessarily in a street application anymore with the improving technologies that's coming to motorcycles. There looks to be a predecessor coming for the 701 street bike, which would be the 901, or what's known as the 901 Norden. But it looks like the bike is still in development today, even though KTM already has their 890 Duke out. So I don't know what would be taking so long, unless you just still need to get all the technology, frame adjustments, all that stuff worked out. And that's just me kind of ranting and rambling on there. So I'm kind of looking forward to what Husqvarna does next. I mean, I love their futuristic and retro styling of many of their like a lot of the standard feature on the bikes for the price point. I mean, they've got one of the best beginner bikes on the market, and like with all their little technology and little things that they do, I like that about them. I mean, they're kind of unique and they make a little difference in the industry standards to kind of bring everybody's price point kind of down and to a point. So I want to appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for listening today. And if you have any comments, go ahead and leave them below. We'll have a discussion down there. Appreciate y'all watching, y'all listening. Also, writing this whole thing out as a side note, did you know that in Husqvarna, the Q is not followed by a U? So, something to think about. All right, guys, have a good day. Later.